This is my code and assignment for part 2. Basically, here. So this is where I've initialized all my elements. So I've set the sum as double, as when I originally didn't have it as double. It gave me an error with the average. It kept giving me a minus number, as I'll show you now. So here's the average that I kept getting without the double. So I added the double to try and correct it, which it gave me the correct average that I needed. Then I've set the size of the array to 2202 because that's the size of the array I was using. Then I've basically initialized it, so they're basically declaring the array as zeros. So then I basically set this as the loop counter. I set I as 0 then for, and then I basically declared my maximum and minimum, so therefore my highest and smallest it was the values I've gotten. So I've initialized them as 0 as well. Then this is my file pointer here. Then this basically is going to open the file. That's the name of it I have there, where it has all my values on it. And this is going to open the file. Then this is basically going to check this part here, the if. This is basically going to check if the file can open. And if it can open, it's going to print reading from file. Then it's going to go into a new line. And then it's going to print the array. So my array starts from 0, as I'll show you now. There, it starts from 0. So since it's going to start from 0, it's basically going to add 1 onto it for the array size. And then it's going to, it's basically going to scan all my values off the file. And then it's going to close basically this part of it. So I'm just going. So this is basically where I had to set the minimum, as if I didn't do that, it kept giving me an error with my smallest value. Because it kept going to 0 for whatever reason, and I couldn't get it to work, so I basically went and stated it and basically reinstated it as 0, hoping that it would work, and I got it to work with trial and error with it. So now back onto encode now. So yeah, it's gone up again. Yeah. So then, since I've basically put that as 0, it gave me the correct one. And then this basically here for the 4, it's going to find my. It's basically going to find my sum, basically my maximum and minimum out of the array. Then it's going to basically print them. It's going to print them as an integer really. Then this is basically my equation I'm using to get the sum. Here, so it's basically going to add the current elements to the sum for. Then this if statement is basically going to update the maximum that's going to scan in. So if it starts off at just say 100, and then it finds a new value, it's going to, and just say the new value is 102. It's going to scan in as the new max as 102. Then it's really the same for the minimum. So the minimum is going to just say start at 3, and then the next one's going to scan in as 1. It's going to set the new minimum as 1. Then basically this is off the part where when I was basically checking if the file could open. So this is basically going, if the file couldn't open, it's going to print the error message, could not open file. Then it's going to go into a new line. Then it's going to end. It's basically going to return. It basically exit. The command console. Then this is basically how I got the average. here. So it's basically I've used the sum from the previous that I've showed, and then I basically divided by the size of the array. And then this is basically going to print the average as an integer. And then it's just going to say the average is and then the integer. So it's basically going to be the value. Then it's the same for the highest and the smallest value. Then here I've basically put everything that's above the average value. And then it's going to print them. So it's basically going to scan all the elements on the array. Then anything that's above the average is going to print. And then as was it the Simon stated, we had to put it onto an output file. So basically on the output file, I've named it output.txt. No, I'll just open it there. This is basically what's outputted for. And then it's all the elements above average that you've seen in the command console. So it's basically printed them all out onto that. So wait, and then it's basically doing the same as you've seen. There's just the average that you've seen on the output file, then the highest, then the smallest, and then all the elements above average. And then after it gets down to there, it's the same as before with the average. We're trying to find the above average. Then it's going to print them all out, and then it's going to close it. It's going to close the output file, and then it's going to exit the whole program. So that's basically it. Now for like one of the errors that I had, well sorry, this is before I added it. It's the exact same as I was with the other. It's just it doesn't have the output file on it. There. So the space is the exact same as before, it just doesn't have the output file on it. Then they're basically the two files I showed you earlier. Then this is one of the errors I had. I didn't have a clue how to fix it. So this is basically to read it in completely. This was one of the original codes I was using before I changed it to the new one. So this was meant to add, like read it in as a character. So this is going to be like all the area codes because I couldn't get them to work. So that's going to be the error codes, and it's going to read them as in as characters. As they had, some of them had like underscores in them. So if I had that as an integer, it'll crash the program. As what is it called? Some of them had it underscores in them instead of like a full number. And then basically the same there, and then that opens the file. Basically, it's a file pointer. Then that's I basically initialize the smallest into the sum as a float. That was opening the file. That was checking it. That was basically reading it. Then this was meant to be like a string where it could read the whole file, but I couldn't get that to work. It kept giving me an error before. And then that's basically the same. It's meant to be the sum, and where it's going to add on to the values to the sum. And then that was going to add on to it. And that was basically to get the average, or put it as a float. But then it was basically going to print if it couldn't be opened. Then it's going to end it. And here's the error it basically did for me. Because I wouldn't even read the file. I just kept doing that. It's saying that there was basically, it didn't come up in error code, it's reading a file. But there is no file for, because it's not reading off the input one that I had on. This is basically my input file. It just I had to take the column out of the whole Excel sheet, as I couldn't get it to work. So if I can get it to, basically it's just the whole column for me. there. That's just the whole column. As you can see, it starts with that number, and then I'll go on to the Excel sheet for you to show you. And then it starts. Sorry, it's really low down. There, it starts with the same. So basically, I just took that whole column out. There, took that whole column basically for the input file.